Keep talking about this, right? Republican congressional leaders demanding that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg turn over documents related to his investigation of former President Donald Trump. Republicans claiming that the Manhattan DA is abusing power, while Democrats accuse the GOP of obstructing justice and trying to intimidate Alvin Bragg.
Congress has no jurisdiction over a state district attorney's office, and yet here we are with three chairs of committees writing an inflammatory and accusatory and quite questionable letter to a sitting elected representative of a district attorney's office, which does not answer to Congress in any way, shape, or form, and Congress has no oversight over that investigation.
So we're waiting to see if the Manhattan District Attorney will announce an indictment against the former president today. And we are joined this morning by Fairleigh Dickinson University's political science professor, Dan Cassino, who has been monitoring the story very closely. So good morning, Dan. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
So this announcement of an indictment against former President Trump today, I mean, that would be unprecedented. So what kind of implications would this have on our government?
Yeah, this is one of those really deep issues in political science where we've got two important principles that are coming into conflict with each other. On one hand, no one wants to see the justice system used against the political opponents of the current regime. That's banana republic stuff. We don't want to see that. On the other hand, we also have this principle that no one is above the law, and everyone agrees on that. And right now, it looks like those are very much in conflict. As long as Republicans especially say that there's no reason to indict Trump, they're going to say this is a political witch hunt, and that puts them at odds with Democrats who are saying we just have to show the principle that no one is above the law. And there's no way to resolve that easily or quickly.
Yeah, I hear you on that point. Republican congressional leaders, they did send this letter, though, Dan, to Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, right, demanding transparency. Could he be called to testify before Congress about his investigation, the actual district attorney?
Absolutely. Congress can subpoena anyone they want. That's what subpoena powers are for. Is there anything that Congress could actually do about it? Not really. Normally, the big stick Congress wields in investigations like this is defunding. But they can't defund the New York State Prosecutor's Office because they don't have any jurisdiction over it. They don't fund them in the first place. So this is really much more for those Republicans in Congress. This is about position taking. They want to show their constituents we are pro-Trump, we are against what they see as abuse of power. This is much more symbolic than it is actually having any real ramifications for the case.
So where do we stand right now? I mean, is there any indication that there are going to be additional witnesses testifying before the grand jury?
We don't really have indication of more witnesses, but we wouldn't. All these grand jury hearings are held under very tight secrecy. No one wants to leak what's going out of the grand jury. In many cases, it's illegal to leak what's going on in the grand jury. And the prosecutors certainly don't want to tip their hand. So we don't have indication, but we wouldn't. That doesn't mean anything. We will basically not really know anything until we get an official announcement. And the official announcement is probably going to be in the form of an indictment.
Right. So let's talk about that, right? If there is an official announcement and charges are announced, would the former president have to appear in court, and will he be handcuffed like any other defendant that we would see how this kind of plays out?
That is entirely up to the district attorney's office. So there are certain things they would basically have to do. They would have to bring him in. They'd have to book him. They'd have to give him, he'd have to get a mugshot. They'd have to fingerprint him. Everything besides that is up to the discretion of the prosecutor. So we could get a perp walk. I'd say that's probably unlikely. It would be seen as inflammatory. We could get handcuffs, again, probably seen as inflammatory. He could even be put into lockup, but that would be difficult with the Secret Service right there.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not unprecedented. It's unprecedented in terms of a former president, but we've seen elected leaders and those in power take mugshots before. For example, Rick Perry, former governor of Texas. You know, he was booked and taken a photo. He was wearing a full suit. So it should be interesting to see how this all plays out.
So what kind of role will the Secret Service have and any other law enforcement if he is indicted?
The Secret Service, by law, has to keep on protecting him, even if he is indicted, even if he goes to prison. The Secret Service would have to station people in the prison in order to protect the former president. There is no precedent for this. This is nothing the Secret Service has ever had to do before. But following the law, they would have to still be there and protecting him regardless of where the former president is.
Well, he doesn't lose that. He doesn't lose Secret Service.
There is no way for him to lose that outside of an act of Congress.
Wow, that's very interesting. All right, Dan, I know you're standing by all morning long in case any news breaks, so appreciate you being here this morning. And if charges are announced, we'll be bringing you back in for the conversation for this commentary, so we may be talking to you later this morning. We'll find out.
All right, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.